Thanks for joining us for another exciting and festive episode of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Audrey Williams. With Christmas just a stone's throw away, many of us are preparing to spend time with family and friends. Amid the celebrations, it's important to remember that life is anchored in hope. Despite the challenges we may have faced this year, hope remains, and that should shape how we respond to life's unexpected moments. On today's program, we'll explore practical ways to safeguard ourselves this season and how a shift in perspective can help us find peace even in the midst of a storm. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the news.
This Christmas, choose life. As we recover from Hurricane Melissa's devastation, we're reminded that life is fragile. Pedestrians, stay alert. Drivers, slow down. Rest if you're tired, and never drink and drive. One careless decision can change a family forever. Let's have a safe and prayerful Christmas and a crash-free 2026.
Good day, I'm Jabertha Atkinson, and this is your JIS News for Friday, December 19, 2025. Road patching works have now started in Kingston under the government's new $1.6 billion Graded Overlay Emergency Road Rehabilitation GO program. The program was announced last week to immediately repair several priority corridors that were damaged by potholing and scoring during Hurricane Melissa. A statement from the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development yesterday reveals that work has now begun on Waterloo Road, East Kings House Road, Mandela Highway, and several other roads in Kingston and St. Andrew. Minister with responsibility for works, Robert Morgan, assures that the GO program will move into other parishes in the coming days. Motorists are being asked to exercise caution when traveling through active work zones, obey posted instructions, and expect intermittent delays as crews carry out patching operations. A negotiating team has been established to develop a new electricity licensing arrangement for Jamaica. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Energy, Carol Palmer, is the chair of the negotiating team. Minister of Energy Darrell Vaz provided the details while responding to questions during a press conference on Tuesday. He says a consultant from overseas has been contracted by the government and preliminary negotiations have already started.
Stakeholders will be invited to consultations, and of course, obviously, we will keep the country abreast of the negotiations as it goes along.
Minister Vaz says the goal is to conclude the negotiations before July 2027.
As you know, the license expires in 2027, and the conditionalities are, if a new agreement is not concluded with JPS, the government will have to buy the assets of JPS and find a new operator. So the options are there, and to remind you that if we did not respond by July 2025, there would have been an automatic 10-year extension on existing terms.
The government, through a public-private partnership, has received a large stock of building material to repair and rebuild houses in Western Jamaica. The $50 million donation was made by Chemtech Development and Construction Company to the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM. It includes building material mainly for roofing, such as lumber, plyboard, nails, zinc sheets, screws, bolts, and hurricane straps. At the handover ceremony in Portmore on Thursday, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness commended the organization for its commitment and support to the recovery and rebuilding process.
But I want to make special commendation for what you can see around us when the cameras pan, which would be all the materials required to restore, I would estimate, anywhere from 80 to 100 roofs in Jamaica. And that is significant. That could be an entire community.
Prime Minister Holness says while the conditions of how and where to use the donations will be respected, assistance will focus on the most vulnerable persons.
And that category of vulnerability would be, for example, persons who are indigent, elderly persons who can't help themselves, households with large number of children. You also want to assist persons whose homes were totally damaged and they would need a structure rebuilt. Persons who are in shelters, that they may have a place, but the physical structure is damaged.
Managing Director of Chemtech, Sylvester Tuller, says the donation is part of a $70 million budget. The remaining funds will provide emergency supplies, such as care packages and tarpaulins, and support the rebuilding of a basic school in Seaton Crescent, Westmoreland. This will be done on land owned by the municipality.
See this as part of our corporate responsibilities to reach out in a tangible way to help in the rebuilding process, to repair, to build new structures that are more resilient to shocks, such as hurricane and earthquakes.
Approximately 150,000 housing structures were impacted by Hurricane Melissa, of which 40,000 were severely or totally damaged. The Ministry of Agriculture, through the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, has commenced the distribution of 100,000 broiler chickens and feed to farmers island-wide. This is part of a $100 million broiler recovery program that's aimed at restoring poultry production following the devastation caused by Hurricane Melissa. The program was launched on Tuesday with a handover of 1,000 broiler chickens and 200 bags of feed to several farmers in St. Elizabeth. The presentation ceremony was held at Kristen Ambersley's broiler farm in Holland Village, a community that suffered significant losses during the hurricane. In total, over 700,000 broiler birds, which account for about 6% of the total population, were lost in the hurricane. Minister Floyd Green says the broiler recovery program is aimed primarily at restarting operations for small poultry farmers who play a critical role in the industry, which remains one of Jamaica's strongest agricultural subsectors.
And a huge part of that are our small chicken farmers, largely our backyard chicken farmers. And those farmers are responsible for about 40% of our entire chicken industry. And what I have found, the vast majority of those small farmers are women.
Beyond the distribution of birds, Minister Green outlined a broader recovery package.
We're also going to be purchasing feed. We're also going to be purchasing vitamins. But there's also another element, because it don't make sense we give you the chicken and you don't have anywhere to put it. So as a part of the program, we're going to be providing infrastructural repairs to poultry houses. We're going to be providing roofing, wiring, fencing.
7 persons are now the beneficiaries of financial support from the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, JCPD. 2 of the beneficiaries received the Margaret Moody Scholarship, valued at $350,000 each. Another 5 individuals were awarded assistive aid grants, totaling $300,000 each. The grants were made during a ceremony held on Tuesday at the JCPD head office in Kingston. Minister of Labor and Social Security, Pernell Charles Jr., says the initiative is a powerful demonstration of empowerment and inclusion for persons with disabilities. Chairperson of the JCPD's Social and Economic Empowerment Committee, Gloria Goff Smallwood, encouraged beneficiaries to view the support not as an entitlement, but as an opportunity for personal development and independence. And finally, the St. Catharines South Division of the Jamaica Constabulary Force is reporting a 39% reduction in murders for the division. Commanding Officer Senior Superintendent of Police Leighton Gray says the division recorded 32 fewer fatalities when compared to the same period last year.
The support from the residents in and around Portmore tremendous. But that level of bond and cohesiveness that we have built over the time, it has been very good.
SSP Gray, who was updating Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness on security matters in Portmore, said the establishment of the police post in Gregory Park was a significant boon. He pointed out that the community has recorded 3 murders so far for the year, a major decline from the previous 15 to 20 murders per year. The Prime Minister was also pleased to hear that major construction sites in Portmore and the wider division, such as the Resilient Park and the Raintree Commercial Complex, are also safe from criminal intrusion.
I think by now, the people who are involved in gang activities would realize that the government, the state, is developing the capabilities to find out who they are, where they are, what they do, when they do it, how they do it. And we are not using an haphazard strategy. We are being very deliberate. So, I think the message for this year is that if you are involved in a gang, your prospects are dim.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Jabertha Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
Are you interested in buying land or property? Here are the steps you should follow. Step 1. Find out who is legally authorized to sell the property. Step 2. Ensure all property tax payments are up to date. Step 3. Consult an attorney at law who will guide you through the process and protect your interests. You can also use eLand Jamaica to check on matters pertaining to your property purchase. For more information, contact the National Land Agency at 876-750-5263 or 876-946-5263. Email asknla@nla.gov.jm or message us on WhatsApp at 876-418-5089. The National Land Agency. One agency, one goal to serve you better.
Thank you for staying with us. We all know that when food is not stored properly, it can quickly become contaminated, especially after a storm. In our next feature, we'll share simple, practical tips to help you keep your food and water safe during times like these. Take a look.
Contaminated floodwater, unsafe storage, and power outages can turn everyday meals into hidden hazards. We have some tips to help stay safe.
Boiling is very, very effective. It is just that before boiling, you might want to take certain steps before. For example, if the water is cloudy or it has debris, that water should be filtered or left to settle. Once it is clear, it is okay to boil or to treat. It is recommended that water should be boiled for at least 1 minute to neutralize all biological and viral contaminants. Now, if boiling is impractical, water should be treated with chlorine bleach to achieve a residual effect of 0.5 milligrams per liter. And it is advisable that is 2 drops of chlorine per 1 liter of water, and that water body should left to stand for at least 30 minutes for effective treatment. Even when we have adequate electricity and gas, Jamaica is unique for using charcoal and grills for preparing food. So that is something that is unique to Jamaica, using of coal pots and charcoal. It is advisable though that these methods must not be used indoor, as the risk of carbon monoxide is great when it is indoor. What I mean by reputable sources that have been inspected and passed fit by the medical officers of health for the respective parishes. All of these entities should have a certificate for the establishment that basically declares or stipulates that that establishment is safe to purchase food. Also, consumers has to be their own inspectors at this time. You need to look at what you're purchasing. For example, meat, you need to ensure that it is not discolored, not giving off any offensive odor. And also, especially for seafood, you want to ensure that these are firm. The milk is at the correct temperature. You have to ensure that you're buying things from refrigerated temperature instead of buying food that has gone through temperature abuse and bringing the risk of foodborne illness to you and your family.
After any disaster, public health inspectors are among the first responders.
I must say that food safety is not an individual effort, but it's a community responsibility. And also cooperate with our local public health inspectors. They are there to restore confidence and also to ensure that all our food establishments are maintaining satisfactory public health standards. And again, please remember, when in doubt, throw it out.
This Christmas, let's make it one to remember, not for the gifts under the tree, but for the love, kindness, and care we show to each other. As we gather with family and friends, let's look out for our neighbors, especially the elderly, the vulnerable, and those still recovering from recent challenges. Check in. Lend a hand, share a meal. A small act of kindness can make the season brighter for someone who needs it the most. Let this be a Christmas to remember for all the right reasons.
As we continue to reflect on the word hope and the meaning it carries, we now turn to a powerful story of redemption, one person's journey that highlights the true meaning of Christmas.
This wasn't the story I envisioned telling this Christmas. In fact, it was a difficult one to share. But as I reflect on my own quest to discover the true meaning of Christmas, I met David Martin.
My name is David Martin, and we are about to get animated.
An animator, educator, and someone whose life has been defined by his willingness to give of himself in service to others. Through our connection, I learned about his remarkable journey, which took a life-altering turn in 2022. David endured a major stroke that left him paralyzed on his left side, followed by a diagnosis of a heart condition. And when it seemed like things could not get worse, in July 2024, after Hurricane Beryl struck, David suffered a second stroke, leaving him mute and unable to hear for 3 agonizing weeks. Yet, today, David shares his incredible journey of resilience, a journey he believes was touched by the hand of God. It was based on faith, the seeds for which were laid in childhood.
I was always went to a crusade. He always an influence of my grandfather. He always put me at vocation Bible school. Because of that, I had a strong base. So I am glad for that, and that it was prepared me until now in everything that I've been in life. God has always been with me through prayer and meditation. I've always disciplined myself in the scriptures so that God's wisdom and love will be shared, so that one day I will be proud unto Jesus.
As health crisis after health crisis struck, David's faith was not shaken. In fact, it was strengthened.
It's hard to say that I was a Christian because I've always been a girl with God, and because of that, I know that God was always with me. I had anniversary when I had my heart surgery started. With every affliction, whether stroke or surgery, whatever it was, Jesus was there. I'm grateful for my life because I could have died. I give thanks for that all the time because I've gone through a lot and still sometimes go through, but I'm grateful.
What became increasingly clear to him was the vital importance of family.
My family has been a very good support system. My children and my wife and my daughter over the time when I was going my stroke.
And through this life-altering experience, now more than ever, David firmly believes that Christmas is not just a time for revelry.
It's more than just a celebration. It's a time for family.
I'm still breathing. My heart is still beating.
Though David's speech is still affected by the stroke, his message is clear. Faith and the warmth of family are the true reasons for the season. I say, Merry Christmas to all, and may this season bring hope and healing to every heart.
Now let's take a look at how the Consumer Affairs Commission, CAC, is safeguarding consumers against excessive pricing on essential recovery items following Hurricane Melissa.
Under Jamaican law, price gouging refers to when retailers or distributors or traders take advantage of a national emergency and increase prices excessively on items that are needed to recover from that disaster or emergency. So we want to say to consumers and business owners that the definition, as is described in the declaration by the Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Holness on October 24. The definition is for the material and supplies that consumers would need to recover from the hurricane. However, I must state that the Consumer Affairs Commission will not turn away or ignore any excessive pricing of any other item outside of those listed items in the declaration under the Trade Act. Some of the items under this declaration include things such as very detailed personal care items such as soap, cleaning products, antibacterial products, toiletries, alcohol, hand sanitizers, feminine hygiene products, diapers, bleach, and gloves. It includes surgical masks as well, and prescription medication, and building materials, so tarpaulin, lumber, nails, zinc, etc. So electrical supplies, because a lot of homes have been flooded out, and so they will require rewiring of homes and so on. So it includes electrical supplies, plumbing supplies, etc. We want to remind retailers and consumers that there are also other items that are included under the declaration that are considered emergency, but those items already are covered under their own legislation. So some of those are, for instance, it does not include any goods that are maybe regulated by the Sugar Industry Control Act, the Agricultural Product Act, the Agricultural Marketing Act, the Coconut Industry Control Act, the Banana Board Act, and the Jamaica Agricultural Commodities Regulation Authority Act. So the agricultural industry, which we know was devastated under Hurricane Melissa. So the food items under those are also listed, agricultural products, but they're under their own legislation. However, it is also considered emergency food for those of us who understand that the entire South Coast and agricultural areas were devastated, so it would be included. If consumers bring the evidence and the investigation is done after they've reviewed and assessed the evidence, and it is taken to a parish court and it is proven that you are guilty of price gouging, the penalty is up to $1 million. When we talk about evidence, the consumer needs to ensure that they have a receipt, and a receipt in this circumstance, while we're going through this recovery, a receipt can be a photograph. So you can use your mobile phone and take a picture of the price that you pay for it. In general, the Consumer Affairs Commission is the point agency for the reports. However, we want consumers to understand that whomever you can have supporting you in contact in places where connectivity is down and you need to have a case reviewed, any government agency under the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, you can relate to them. If they come into your community where you are without connectivity or without electricity, speak with them and give them as much information as you can, and they will pass it on to the Consumer Affairs Commission, because we know that there are people in spaces where there's no way to get to us. While we have our website at cac.gov.jm, we have our telephone connection, 876-619-4222, and that goes all the way up to 30. And we have our social media platforms, X, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. We know that persons may not be able to do that.
As the Christmas season comes around each year, we're reminded of those cherished mornings when the smell of fruit cake and sorrel wakes us up before the sun, and the excitement of gift giving fills the air. But as we anticipate the season this year, may the hush of Christmas morning bring a deeper kind of hope, one wrapped in grace and splendor, carried with a smile, a gentle touch, and a grateful heart. Let this Christmas be one to remember, not just for the traditions we love, but for the renewed love we share with everyone who is near.
This is where we wrap up today's program. I hope you've been informed, inspired, and uplifted. Join us again tomorrow for another engaging edition of Jamaica Magazine right here on this station. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recap and more stories at jis.gov.jm. I'm Audrey Williams. Thanks for watching, and as always, walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.